Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ivan Salinas. I'm the programs coordinator here at Beyond Baroque. It is my honor to welcome you to the third day of the Southern California Poetry Festival. Thank you to the Poetry Foundation for their sponsorship and making this event possible. And thank you to the Beyond Baroque team for putting together this 3 day festival. You'll see some of us around the building, so say hi. I'd like to begin by acknowledging our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples. We acknowledge the wrong done to Indigenous peoples through colonialism and genocidal practice. As an arts organization, we are committed to uplifting Indigenous communities and artists. In Venice, we are settled on what used to be the Sangha and Wanka Tongva villages. We recognize they are still present with us. For the opening program, we've invited poets of the Tine, Kumeyaay, Tongva, Chumash, and Mexica nations. It is a privilege to be in the presence of all these poets, writing about their identities and communities. And it's also exciting to witness a surgence of Indigenous poets reclaiming what has been the homelands of Native American peoples before the arrival of white settlers to the Americas. Through the poets' words, hopefully we can get a glimpse of what it means when we say that the future is Indigenous. Today we will hear from 3 poets, Jessa Calderon, Kinsdale Drake, and Moncho Ollin Alvarado. Unfortunately, Tommy Pico couldn't join us as he is feeling a little bit under the weather, but he sends his best wishes to all the readers and everyone in the audience. To welcome our poets today, I want to give a shout out and my most sincere thank you to Chucha Centro Cultural, an organization founded by poet Luis J. Rodriguez and his wife Trini Cardenas. Chucha is based in Southern California in Sylmar, unceded Tataviam territory. And I'd like to welcome Jackie Garcia, who is the literary event coordinator of Chuchas, to say a few words about the organization and present our first poet of the day. After that, I'll present our remaining poets. So please welcome Jackie Garcia.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jackie. I'm the literary events coordinator at the Chucha Centro Cultural and Bookstore. The bookstore was first established in 2001 and was created as a space to embrace the artistic and creative development of the Northeast San Fernando Valley community through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. Tia Chucha Centro Cultural provides year-round on-site and off-site free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, danza, creative writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing/talking circles. Our independent bookstore makes culturally diverse and relevant books and literary events accessible to our community. Tia Chucha recognizes that books and knowledge must be accessible to communities that reflect their culture, history, stories, and values. We specialize in providing great books on Chicanx and Latinx, history and literature, Indigenous knowledge, bilingual children's books, contemporary and social commentary issues, as well as Spanish language, queer, art, poetry, anti-racism, social change, and much more. Similarly, we do have a press called Tia Chucha Press, which is one of the country's leading small cross-cultural presses that focuses on socially engaged poetry and literature. We do also have a programming called Indigenous Us Programming, where we host workshops showcasing Northeast San Fernando Valley community-based Indigenous practices of local Native American groups, which benefits individuals and social well-being through the sharing of ancestral knowledge and arts. I have the pleasure today of introducing Jessa Calderon, one of our poets who Tia Chucha values a lot and loves collaborating with. Jessa Calderon is a singer, songwriter, MC, poet, and published author. Jessa is of the Chumash and Tongva nations of Southern California. Jessa also identifies with her Yoeme and Mexican roots. Jessa is a natural-born singer who truly found her voice in hip-hop. As an MC, poet, and published author, Jessa is able to share her culture and truth in a way that keeps the crowds intrigued. Not only does Jessa bring pictures to life through the mind's eye with her writing, she also brings her listeners enlightenment and healing. Since 2019, Jessa has joined the Dream Warriors Collective with Tanaya Winder, Frank Wall, Lila June, Tall Paul, Mike Jordan, and Gunnar Jules. Together they share music, culture, stories, poems, seminars, workshops, webinars, which equates to healing as a community. Welcome, Jessa Calderon.
Aweshkoneha, Mi'iha Wanihinkam. I'm glad to be here with you all. I am coming today from Pacoenga, which is a Tongva village, which is very close to Silmar, both of which are actually Tongva territory. But the tricky part there is that we weren't always known as Tongva or Tongve. We traditionally were known from our village names. So my family comes from Comigranga, for instance, which is in the Santa Monica Mountains. And so we have a large span and we're all related, but it gets very confusing with the whole modern day, BIA BS. So I'm glad to be here with you all. And I am gonna go ahead and start off with a song for the ancestors to remind them that we always recognize them in everything that we do and every step that we take. So when I sing this song, I honor the four directions. And in doing so, I honor my ancestors and your ancestors, who I believe that you carry with you here today. Dehovetam hanuk betam, 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 tu me komi ketai me pai me, 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 Dehovetam hanuk vetam, 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 tu me komi ketai me pai me, 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 Dehovetam hanuk vetam. Aweshkoneha, aweshkoneha, aweshkoneha. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the poem dedicated to our men, those who identify as men. We live in a community where they probably take the most crap from all around, our men of color. Many of our relatives are growing up without a father figure. And that causes trauma. Many of them are watching their mothers be disrespected, and that causes trauma. Many of them are watching their mothers or fathers be drunk or on drugs, and the reactions between the family, that causes trauma. So my point is, we have so much trauma in the community, and that is just an endless cycle that we keep putting each other through. And so I urge our sisters to do the best to heal ourselves so that we can raise the best children, so that those children can start breaking those cycles. But in the meantime, I want to remind our men. So this is called Beautiful Brown Man. My dearest beautiful brown man, more than hear this, I need you to understand. You are worth so much more than Western society describes. You are brother, cousin, father, teacher. You mean everything to our lives. Mainstream media depicts you as lowlives, thugs, alcoholics, good for nothing, but murderers and doing drugs. But that is not you, not who you came to be. You are sacred, you are ancient, you are beautiful, a beautiful spiritual being. I need you to remember why you really came. You have purpose. Yes, you have reason to be sober, a reason to stay, being present to your life and your loved ones who remain. Hold no judgment to your past. It's part of who you are. Experience intended to teach you growth, to shine like the northern star. Giving up now is too easy. It's the fight that takes heart. May these words echo through your mind, bringing strength, wisdom, and inner power to your light. Thank you. And so some of the works that I do really take us back and then pull us forward. And so this next one is called The Box Marked Other. With the history rewritten, exaggerated, paperwork gave choices of marking black, white, or Asian. Surely you couldn't mark American Indian or share your true identity at a time when America made you the sworn enemy. You cannot own land or earn a decent wage. They'll tell people you're stupid and lazy as they hold your week's pay. They'll tell other countries Indians have reached extinction. You won't have say in how the water and land is treated. Things will slowly begin to change, including climate. Water and land will become scarce and damaged. Some will admit they should have listened to the traditional ecological knowledge. Some will help pass bills to do what's right, while others stop at the point of acknowledge. Will they ever fully listen to understand? I can't help but wonder. Even in a time when BIPOC are screaming equity for one another, you're still the box that's marked other. Thank you. And another one kind of goes here and there. So this one is called Then to Now. You are stupid. You are ugly. You are useless. You are disgusting. Imagine being told this as a child every day of your life. Imagine being beat and or raped so often that your body grows numb. Imagine believing your whole life that you are unlovable, worthless, and dumb. Now you're grown and looking for love. Since you were kidnapped, you never had it. Feeling broken, you didn't know how to shift out of the anger and sadness. You have children who feel your cold interior. Like the colonizer who hurt you, you make your kids feel inferior. Your kids learned they were native, but couldn't tell anyone. They felt alone. They never felt they were on their traditional territory. They never felt at home. They felt extremely out of place. Signs on the shop's window sills not welcoming their color and race. Schools mistreating and teaching lies. The self-hatred is strong. It is felt in the one who gives it life. The same way genetic trauma was passed down through the generations with broken treaties, as was white privilege to the invasive species. University student, business owner, CEO, etc. These were positions our relatives didn't feel worthy of, finding themselves in. We've been conditioned to believe we were meant for cheap labor and jail. Heal the trauma. Speak your truth. Know your worth. Stand in your power. These are the actions that cause you to prevail. We are the generations our uncles and aunties have fought for. The smoke has gone up, the tobacco placed down. Your spirit knows your journey. No one can take you off track now. Thank you. I know I stay looking in my book. I'm a hip hop artist, so if I could bust it like a flow, I don't have to look in my book. But when it's poems and it's all slow, I'm like. So this one's called Genetic Memory. Do you remember when the groves of oaks provided a way of life? When the paime pahait. Oh, by the way, does anybody know what the paime pahait is? Okay, so to help you understand where I'm going with this and who I'm talking about, the paime pahait is the Los Angeles River's real name. That's the name that translates into the West River. And so this revolves around the paime pahait. So real quick, can I hear y'all say paime pahait? Okay, here we go. Do you remember when the groves of oaks provided a way of life? When the paime pahait flowed clear and drinkable? When salmon flowed upstream through the river? When the grizzly bear ate the salmon and the berries on a beautiful summer day? When the Tongva people paddled in their freshwater boats? When neighbors paddled upstream and downstream to visit? When the freshwater springs were walking distance from home? When the hot water springs were freely shared and cherished? Long before houselessness and poverty were ever an idea. Long before our water springs were capped off by corporate entities such as Department of Water and Power. Long before the grizzly bear was shot to extinction in California. Long before the devastation and invasion of the mission system, Mexico, and America. Long before grocery stores and fast food were the main food source. My genetic memory remembers when Los Angeles County and neighboring areas were abundant with clean, drinkable water. When cultural maintenance, such as burns, were practiced with connection and love with the earth. When the soil was healthy. When Tongva people and their neighbors gathered together to sing, laugh, dance, and eat good food for days during ceremony. When one could take a walk outside their home and gather food and herbs directly from the land. You know, I often hear people say, we'll be devastated if the economy collapses. But my genetic memory tells me that the land, the water, the plant people, the animal people, the insect people, and the traditional stewards of the land, the indigenous people, have been and continue to be affected by the economy. Devastated by the economy. I wish Koneha. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna do one more and then I'm gonna finish it up with a song and then I'll pass the mic. So this one is called We Are Nature, We Remember. Strip us of our shells and furs, force us into modern wear. Tell us how we should live, who we should love. Tell us we could never be enough. We are nature, we remember. For you, our mere being is full of disruption, yet it is you who come into this homeland and disrupt the way of nature, the way of the people, the water people, the ocean people, land people, sky people. We are nature, we remember. You continue to invade, contaminate, reconstruct, fully disrupt a system that kept the lands and waters pristine. You want to control me and everything which surrounds you. We are nature, we remember. Nature is sovereign. You can try, but you cannot contain the beauty beneath the concrete. We are nature, we remember. Flowers will seep through the cracks to blossom. We are nature, we remember. Water will find routes flooding what is in its way. We are nature, we remember. Even through your brainwash and redlining, deep within, we knew your way was hateful, harmful, and unnatural. We are nature, we remember. I wish Koneha, thank you. And I'm gonna follow this up with a song for that poem, and this song is for the earth. This is a thank you to the Mother Earth. So the translation is, thank you, Mother Earth, always giving food, water, our breath. Mother Earth, thank you. I'm happy. Aweshkoneha eyoyokor, aweshkoneha eyoyokor, horura mahekwa e pareo hiken eyoyokor, aweshkoneha, aweshkoneha. Aweshkoneha eyoyokor, aweshkoneha eyoyokor, horura mahekwa e pareo hiken eyoyokor, aweshkoneha, aweshkoneha. Aweshkoneha eyoyokor, aweshkoneha eyoyokor, horura mahekwa e pareo hiken eyoyokor, aweshkoneha, aweshkoneha. Thank you, aweshkoneha.
Thank you so much, Jessa Calderon, everybody. Our next poet, Kinsdale Drake. Kinsdale Dine is a writer and narrator whose work has appeared in Poets.org, the Adra Journal, Yale Literary Magazine, Time, NPR, Abalone Mountain Press, and elsewhere. She previously served as a national student poet and currently edits Changing Woman Collective. She is an Indigenous Nation Poets Fellow and the winner of the J. Edgar Meeker Prize for Poetry, the Academy of American Poets College Prize, and the Young Native Playwrights Award. Her work is forthcoming in Best New Poets, MTV, and elsewhere. Welcome, Kinsdale.
Yat Kinsdale Drake Nishin, Nat Oden Tratina Nishle, Bilagana Bashishchi, Ashiha Dashiche, Bilagana Dashanele, Akotego Atsana Nishle. Hi, my name is Kinsdale Drake. I'm really honored to be here with you all in this beautiful space. My sibling and I were walking around earlier, and it was very heavenly. Like walking outside, there was like a butterfly passing by and perfect weather. So I'm very grateful to be here. Grateful it's such a beautiful day. I'm currently finishing up my undergrad on the East Coast, and it's miserable there right now. And I'm home for break, and I can't even express my gratitude to be here and to be with other natives and reading poetry. I'm very grateful. I'm going to be reading a few poems from a manuscript that I'm working on, and the manuscript is about music, which I think is very fitting. As Native peoples, music permeates our lives in so many different ways, whether that's lullaby, that's stories, ceremony songs, but also the music we're raised on. Like, I was raised on country by my mom, who's Navajo. My dad loved Motown. Also Native artists, Native musicians are making waves, and all of these different concepts of music in conversation with instrument. What is instrument? What are the histories of blacklisting that have happened historically to Black and Brown artists, specifically Native artists as well? That's where I want to start. And so the piece I'd like to open with is called Blacklist Me, and it's a poem I wrote in tribute to Buffy Sainte-Marie, who's my favorite singer and musical artist. But she was blacklisted in the 70s by Nixon, and a lot of people don't know who she is because of that. Her songs were kept off the radios in the so-called US, but she's a huge star in so-called Canada. And I feel like she's come back into popularity here, which is really beautiful and hopeful because she's a wonderful artist. But she she is my favorite singer, and so this is kind of my destruction of the canon in a lot of ways, and a recentering of what I want to talk about as a Native artist. Blacklist me. For Buffy St. Marie. None of my ancestors are on the radio. None of my ancestors are, but my sister refurbished an 8-track, and I want Buffy in her purest form. Indians huddled in a basement somewhere, listening to bootleg tapes, except the basement's not a basement. It's a truck bed. Someone's uncle's GMC wheedling over a lip of river, 'cause the best thing about rock and roll is you don't have to do anything right to survive. You don't even have to make sense to a white English professor who wants chronology when I want Buffy and a truck careening into the horizon. I want the explosion as grand as cicadas amping out the sound of night as the 8-track rolls and Buffy lives forever instead of on some balding president's blacklist. And through the smoke, I almost want to mistake a splinter of moonlight for her yellow dress. All the Indians dusting themselves off and laughing at the smolder. The little wheel spin and spin. The little wheel spin. Yeah, thank you. I've been writing a lot about water. I'm from the Southwest, and growing up, you're surrounded by this idea that the Southwest was once an ocean, which is such a beautiful thing because, now we know it as such an arid place. But there's so much life, and people forget about that. I say people, but I mean non-Navajos or non-Native peoples from the Southwest. I feel that we forget that there's so much life even in that aridness, in that history. There's such a timelessness that's happening there. So I think I have 2 pieces that play with this concept, but this first one is called The Sound of Underwater. 1. In winter, we are closest to the ocean that once held nautiloids, corals, cartilaginous fishes. Diné tour guides make signs on the side of the road, usher cars into invisible parking spots amid the pools of half-melted snow. They remove nothing, pushing bills down into their pockets. 2. Clouds leave our bodies like great whales when the desert swims in song from a truck's thrown open door. The heat escapes into the ocean of sky. 3. White historians claim that the Spanish brought over the first horses. Modern genetics and scientific opinion suggest that these are the same ancestors that once roamed this continent before traveling to Eurasia. The ocean had given way by this time to swamp, ice, and fire. Rocks are the oldest storytellers, my friend Gusty tells me. The Badlands shrink behind us, gray teeth swimming in ghosts. 4. It was a warm, shallow sea. This brings comfort during a blizzard in the Northeast. 5. Mid-19th century scientists claimed to know these fossils better by cataloging, sectioning off, drilling holes, and carting off to museums. Locals told stories. 6. Algae reefs shroud the sun 3,000 feet high. Water becomes shadow, then bright bursts of plankton, fiery, hurtling towards the sand. 7. A whale's song can be heard from 10,000 miles away. 8. Today, the formations of Capitol Reef, Utah create a barrier for travel. Sediment mushrooms in petrified waves. The dynamite scorch marks almost invisible from the platform where we stand. 9. We loop, loop, loop the Badlands. Is it all the same ocean? I say it is out loud so the tourists lose their footing. I toss it out the window, bringing new friends for the fossils. 10. At night, the rocks glow. Uranium, yellow pollen, fossil dust. All the once children of the ocean orbit the seascape. Yeah, thank you. The next few are kind of fun. I think that we're really funny. I don't know. I don't like calling myself a funny person, but we joke around a lot. And humor in poetry is something that I really love and have been working on doing, especially in this manuscript. So the next two are like kind of just full of joy. The first one's called August. My mother's soft instrument. I am stomping at 11 a.m. on God's holiest day, my grandmother turning up her hands in something like protest, her face just softened by the rainbow of a smile. Oh, joy! I overturn the sweet peas in the garden with my bare feet, instruments of disaster, instruments of my mother, who used to sneak out to border towns to line dance with cowboys. We missed the days. The rain fell on our foreheads and the kettle boiled over. When I want to call up the memory of these women, I sit with the familiar orchestra of these scratched up CDs. Shh, just there. The instruments of our own destruction and births. Umbilical cords, planting season. I want to roll in the mud and be a mother. I want the seeds to two-step on my skin. Theme for the nautical cowboy. My mother wouldn't let me go to the rodeo when I was younger, so I jet off with my girl and her truck to a George Strait song. It's in our cosmology to chase the tails of dogs over the horizon. The sky stretches, map of strange stars. I list the star signs of my exes, none of them from Texas. Sweet cheers are Baja blasts. Almost all sacred things are blue. Baby blue, baby blue. You joke you'll never date a white boy. You sing a love song to shit straight hair and nighttime eyes. The compass needle stays glued to the moon. I catch your eyes in every mirror. There was once a prehistoric ocean all around us, even whales. We puff out the great swimming shapes of their bodies. This layer of rocks, trilobites, this layer, some ancient eel. How small we are, how funny. Massive fish ghosts vibrate to George Strait. Time is read backwards in the rock body, oldest to the top. Magma pushing what's fresh to the surface. Your hand skims the deep blue sandstone, these long cooled shells. Teardrop. Turquoise, sliver of horizon. The creeping river invisible in the dark. Here's to you, ancient and alive. The sky stretches, full of old and older ghosts, our once and forever wading pool. Thank you. I have 3 more pieces. The next one is I Love Black Cats. The next one is a song for the black cat. I love black cats, I love wicked women, and this is a song for both of them. Song for the black cat outside my mother's apartment. We know what it is to not be wanted, when our bodies are taboo. Night limbs, how our eyes swallow everything. When I was brought into this world, I looked back. The trees were heavy with dark. They say a wicked woman walks bad luck. What makes a wicked woman? Irises like mirrors, green with want. Barbed tongues to catch what's coming. I want to move through the trees as you do. 4 palms flush to the earth. Enamel, dark river. Wild torches from a corner, living shadow, the same color as what's forgotten. What closes tight, its fist around lost teeth. How many lives can I hold in the hollow of my heart? Thank you. My second to last poem, this is transitioning into a part of the manuscript where I think about so-called LA a lot. I grew up with a lot of friends from LA who were native, whether they were indigenous from this area or they were Kumeyaay or they had been displaced and had grown up in this urban setting. And when I was a kid, I started reading poems and working in LA when I was like 15 or 16. And so I had this awareness, like when I was a teenager, of the land as like something that is not LA, and also this kind of like feeling whenever I was sitting alone in a car, especially when the fires were happening, there was like this very specific feeling of like mourning almost, but also like recognition that these are people's homelands currently, like historically and currently. Those communities are still here, and having that awareness and having that grace is something that would follow me, and so I wanted to write poems towards that specific feeling of being a Native person, and these are not my homelands, but I have that awareness that they are, you know, someone's, they are a friend's, and what that means for me as like an urban Indigenous person in this setting. I'll start with the one that's actually from the Northeast, because I went to school in the Northeast, but the weird thing about the Northeast is it looks like it's a lot of nature, right? But then, you know, I learned recently that there's no old growth left because they cleared all of those old forests when they were, committing genocide against the natives there. And they've allowed them to grow back because of whether it's like conservation efforts, you know, neo-conservation efforts, whatever. But there's no old growth. You know, there's still signs that this is a new thing they're doing. And so it looks like there's trees everywhere. And all the buildings look like very colonial. So it's like this very strange erasure that's happening, but also this kind of eco situation going on. This poem's called Everything is Stranger in the Northeast Because There Are No Memorials, Only Indian Names. The marsh islands with their little tufted backs. Someone's home. Everywhere is always someone's home. Late sun fills the window of the Amtrak Northeast. Mouths open in the trees, in the mud. Museum babies trapped in tar pits. When our bones are found, it's called a haunting. Where do the birds go? Who gets a funeral? Everything is a burial ground, even the sky. In the old ways, this was someone's back. The constellations, bullet holes straight through his stomach, blasted with light. How many Indians must die here for anyone to know? The train babbles on about everything else. I don't want to talk about the land so much. I don't want to eco Indian, but the marsh grasses look like the most loved and lonely parts of my body. Where do the songs go when it's dark? What names moved through these trees? The next one is Creation Story Blues, and this is back on this side. An urban Indian belongs to the city, and cities belong to the earth. Tommy Orange. This is a desert, like any other. Towers like cacti suck water from the sky. Aloes shadow the cold dark if the Santa Anas blow in early. Rivers are scarce. The A-line, thin blue vein, spits us out at Long Beach, so we drive everywhere instead. I ask you questions from the passenger side because I love to watch you stitch the world together. It's all the same, you say. This place is a burial ground. Ash curls across the 101 as fire claims a row of palms. You remind me that this city is homeland too, though it burns more often. So we speak kindly to the land when we can. Recognize the hills sloping like arroyo banks, the winding highways carved like canyons. The sky was once a dark blanket. Your lips point to the lights shivering downtown. Almost stars. They spiral, startlingly bright through the windshield. Coyote threw up a basket of stars to shatter the black into brilliance, and tonight the cars are white fast comets slicing back and forth across this concrete body. Do the ghosts, too, feel comforted in the haze as you sing me the birth of the Milky Way? Ahiahet, thank you for having me today.
Kinsdale Drake, thank you so much. To all our poets, thank you. Our last poet for the reading is Moncho Ollin Alvarado. Moncho is a sister in residence and heir, a Siwayolo trans Chicanx poet, translator, visual artist, and educator. She is the author of Greyhound Americans, which was the winner of the 2020 Saturnalia Book Prize, selected by Diane Seuss. She has been published in Heat and Fairy Review, Folklifter, and other publications. She has fellowships and residencies from Lambda Literary, the Aline Wurlitzer Foundation, Troika House, and others. Alvarado is a two-time Pushcart Prize nominee and has been featured at the Brooklyn Museum, the Adrian Brinkerhoff Poetry Foundation, Times Square Arts, Pan America, to name a few. Currently, she is working on a trans-historical novel in verse and lives in Queens with her partner, Cuddly Dog, and Meowling Cat. Welcome, Moncho.
Dr. Gomatli, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you everyone who read before me. Thank you for your air, your body, your spoil, everything. This moment means a lot to me, and being here and being around everyone here. I'm just gonna get straight into the poems. Helping my ama practice for her citizenship test. Name, Marisela Alvarado. 1. What does the Constitution do? Sets, protects, defines rights, like how oceans contain all that life within. 2. Ideas of sovereignty are in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are these? The we people. 3. How many amendments does the Constitution have? 27. And at 27 weeks of pregnancy, you, my chito, in my belly weigh 2 pounds, as much as a brown baby eagle. 4. What are the 2 rights in the Declaration of Independence? Somos indios de Mexico. We were born with Declaration and Independence. 5. What is freedom of religion? These trees, these flowers, the grass. Look how free of religion they are. 6. What is the rule of law? Your abuelo, says paper and ink, owns this piece of land, a body owned that grows navel oranges we eat and drink. 7. Name problems that led to the Civil War. Pues, slavery. 8. Who lived in New York City before the Europeans arrived? Lenape, Hencoop, Ahunkantak, Atu. 9. What promises would you make when you become a United States citizen? Pray, love, vote, protest. 10. Name one state that borders Mexico. Do, my child. And Next is a breakup poem. Hot Cheetos con queso. That's my go-to food. Mi amor de mi vida, nature, who knew you tasted this good? The type of good, when they're in me, my mouth swallows all that life. This relationship can work out after all. He and she and they and Z don't care I have borderline personality disorder, but they do. They leave and always come back to you, mi pariente, mi chingón de chingones. I'm crying into you again. I was hoping the last time was last. My therapist said it's because of me not dealing with my PTSD, trauma, abandonment issues, and I say, nah. But I must be honest, loving people is the most dangerous thing next to loving myself. A house of spirits lives within me. All of us, from bacteria to fish to reptiles to great apes soaring in space. We don't even know where we came from, how we got here, what made all of this, and you. Crunchy corn puffs, red hot powder, hot jalapeno queso, and Chabela Vargas starts singing, Ojalá que te vaya bonito. The bag, it's empty. Except there's a bit of queso. Beloved, mi amor de mi amores. I think I'm in love with everything. Okay. And today's a trans day of remembrance. And yeah, this is me coming out to my mom. So, yeah. Ama teaches me how to whistle. She said, it's fácil. Look up. Kiss everything. Hold the sun between your mouth and blow like this. After I told her I was a woman, she wrinkled the space between us by hugging me. She told me, you confused? I said, is the fire confused when it eats? And told her, I'm going by she and my real name, the one I was born with, not given. She said, you are not what it says on your driver's license. Ama, gracias for believing in this ordinary phenomenon, like the DNA that made grapes and made them a million times before, a million times after. I have one in my mouth. How round this knowledge, the gush in my mouth, sweet, tart, and bitter. Oh, Ama, I finally learned how to whistle like you. And I wrote this poem for folks who deal with suicide like myself and my community who does as well. So, yeah. A list for every time my depression tries to obituary me. For Jay. At the end, in the dark, there's a place where words can't be carried. Look at your hands. Brown infinities that can't draw a perfect circle. It's okay not to remember. Whales don't remember all their songs that vibrate seas. I'm still learning to live the things I didn't have before. Self-care and empathy, an unbearable horizon, the last page turning in your favorite book. One day I awoke and tried to recall everything. I'm going to live all my dreams, even the one where I speak sunflower. It's okay to cry out the borders in you. How many people have cried out today? Everything's a lesson. Just listen, see, smell, taste, and touch, and you'll know. I have used up all my fears. Spiritually speaking, we are the stars. We nova, flux, lux. Panic will try to take the intensity of nows. Fight it. Dictionary the world. Noun the living. Verb memories. Eat a caramel chew. Place it in the roof of your mouth. A sweet goo that lasts. Create an energy that will live 1,000 generations. My beloved's lips on mine. History opens and closes like an accordion. But do you see all this life? The earth came from gases, molded into a planet that is part of a solar system. This system, a part of the Milky Way galaxy. This galaxy, a part of the supercluster Lanaakea, meaning immense heaven, which resides in this universe that made Ama, and she made capirotada, bolillos, and piloncillo juice, cloves, cinnamon, raisins, and you. And since my family's here, my niece and nephew, I wrote a poem to them. Para mis chiquis triquis. For BNN. So much your eyes don't see. Oxygen, breathed in by dinosaurs and Australopithecus. Flowers that have eaten more sun than we ever will. Pick up a papaya, cut it in half, let seeds spill, juices run. Bite into the sunset of its body, taste the horizon, and once a year, outline your hands on a piece of paper. In 10 years, you'll see how hands can grow like trees. And don't forget to sing the songs of our abuelitos, like this one. Amor eterno, inolvidable, tarde o temprano, estaré contigo para seguir amándos. On this day, your bodies are a testimonial like spiral seashells. Your names an inheritance like the palms your parents gifted you. But promise me, mis chiquistriquis, mis queridexes, mis estrellas, when I'm no longer here, read me a poem on my birthday so my bones can feel again. And this last, I wrote like a series of poems to my mom, our epistollaries. And this one I wrote, I think, after I heard she was in the hospital and stuff was happening, and yeah. Okay. Dear Ama, you can't gel a revolution was tagged on the side of a Wendy's. But Ama, you can make it go into debt and never revolt. Who can afford to move into the future when today is always catching up? A bite into a taste of home, deep fried dough, con azúcar, churros, sold by a couple that look like your parents. You told me, abuelo, mind the underworld for ancient memories, worth millions of dollars under our feet. All these years digging cost less than all the minerals he dug out. You asked him, why do we wear the stars? You said he laughed, coughed up his lungs. But looking at the night sky, I want to wear it. That everywhere, where dreams are made real, where the oldest things to survive are like a heart with 4 chambers, the flow sings a remembrance to keep us from exiting ourselves, like a promise to stop eating fried food for a whole year. But sopes, asada fries, pues, maybe I'll try again next year. And why do 2 hydrogen love 1 oxygen to let us inhale one of the oldest contracts of the universe? Air. It carries the smells of everything, like jasmine, lavender, pine trees. A new book when it opens for the first time. There's matter and energy in there. Like our final hug when we last saw each other. I still feel it now. The way we held each other. A universe, a womb that creates, births, and emerges. Traces of tomorrows, the stars. And this last one is called Border Walls. It's the middle of the book. There's a lot of space, a couple of words. It changes every time I read it, depending on what's happening to my community, to my family, along the borders. And it's always different each time, so let's see. Border Walls. The get to a bo be met he grief and it or it how many people were underneath eon acres by man have visitor borders to Neo Sak as he would mend S and cactus the borders net wish her bees et Juan do and a pen the earth be ra pe bo pa t is impossible over s borders thousands left be der that believe foot walls made of electrified long mile are hundred of relentless got from my cha na the e se as du ta di ve desde la y cuántos encontrados dijo la de a endo di la do i ba Dio hay un cuesien secos un bri im si
Another round of applause for all our poets. Thank you. Plaza Kamati, Moncho, Jackie, Jessa, and Kinsdale. Support our authors. You can find their books in our bookstore. Please stick around for the next program. And we'll also have book signing outside in the patio. There'll also be refreshments and a food vendor that will soon arrive. Tlazo Kamati, everyone. Shout out to Tia Chuchas once again for co-sponsoring the event. And to everybody here, thank you so much for coming. Thank you.